How nice would it be if Score Match brought in some new formations for us to play around with, you know? And this is the entire premise of this video, guys. I will be showing you 6 new formations that would have been really great to see in Score Match, and we'll also have a look at which players we would be able to, place in each position of these new formations to see how they would work and if these formations would be good at all. So let's get started, guys. So let's start with this really cool formation. I think this is one of the best formations that you could see in Score Match, a 4-2-4. So like it's really unbalanced in attack. 4 defenders, so normal formation here, but like a usual thing. But in the midfield, we only have 2 midfielders, as you can see here, 2 central midfielders only. The rest of the players are in attack, guys, with a left winger, right winger, and 2 strikers. So this is practically a 4-4-2, but the kind of left and right midfielders are all the way up top alongside the strikers. Now, this would leave quite a few gaps here in the middle of the field, but I think that this would be a fantastic formation, guys. Like, I love formations with 3 forwards, like a 4-3-3, 4-1-2-3, but a 4-2-4 with wingers. Not only with wingers, but with also 2 strikers in the middle, always ready to strike. That would be, I think, one of my dream formations. I'd really, really love to test this out. Now let's have a look at who we could place in each position. Now I think, guys, this is how I'd field this formation as a 4-2-4. So at the back, I'm just gonna say this once because the rest of the 4-man formations we're gonna cover here will be like with the same defense. There is Simon and Keane as fast players. Then for the solidity at the back, we have Sierra and Jones, who are not running players, so they'll always be sticking at the back. I do have a few videos featuring this defense, so yeah, if you go back, you will find them in my channel. Now, having said that, we have the midfield, Hammer and the Wolfgang, the major. So you always need, if you're not gonna play hammers at the back, you'll always at least need some hammers or stuff players in the midfield at the very least, so that you can defend corners a bit better and also attack, try to head your own goals when it comes to corner kicks in your favor. Now I think where the formation gets even more interesting is in the at the top. We have 4 strikers. Now we do not currently have any formation in the game with 4 strikers, so at first I had to kind of think about how a formation with 4 strikers would work in a Score Match, and I concluded that it would be kind of similar to 3 striker formations in Score Match, like a 4-3-3. You'd have a fast player here, as I like to play at least. Everyone can come up with their own front 4, and I'd really love to see your perfect formation and setup in the comments below. So yeah, as a 4-2-4, I'd play as fast player here, Aboubakar, or you could even play Simon here as a left or right wing, it doesn't matter. Then on the other wing, I always love to have a highly responsive player like a Prowler. Even Sandberg is good here on this side, but I'd play a Prowler here so that I would play Sandberg as one of the center forwards alongside Fernandez, because why not? Like, if we have 2 strikers here, like 2 strikers, not even counting the wingers, which is one of the most interesting things about this formation, you can have 2 really clinical finishers up top, and this formation would absolutely tear defenses apart, guys. Like, especially against a 3-5-2, this formation would be able to attack really, really well. The problem, as I'm sure you've known and I have said in the beginning, is that there are quite a couple of big spaces here in the midfield. Now you can use, and I would be using, Aboubakar and Badir the Prowler to kind of press and drag them at least a bit back like I would in a 4-4-2, you know, try to cover these spaces here. But yeah, like once in defense, this formation would have its problems, guys. But yeah, let me know if you like this. I really like this 4-2-4, guys. Now another really solid formation is a 5-2-3. So it's not a 5-3-2 like we already have, it's a 5-2-3. So 5 defenders and 3 strikers. Now this is a combination that, as I said, we do not have in Score Match currently, but really this would be so cool, man. Honestly, I love the any formation with 3 strikers, right? I mean, if you've seen my channel, you already know that. But I also love the solidity that a 5-man defense brings. Unfortunately, with a 5-3-2, you only have 2 strikers. So if the 2 strikers aren't making good runs, you know, your formation will kind of suffer a bit. But a 5-2-3 means that you have a striker up top who can play the ball back. You have wingers, you have central midfielders. This would be a great formation because you don't have enough space. You don't like have the problem that we've seen in the previous formation, the 4-2-4, is the fact that in the midfield, the space, yes, there is a bit extra space compared to a 5-3-2, but with a 5-2-3, you still have, you know, 5 defenders to cover the flanks. You also have the wingers to also hit on the counter, which is something I haven't mentioned yet. A 5-2-3 is perfect for maintaining the ball and even like spreading the ball to the wings to you know, get that counter attack in. I think this would be one of the best formations in the game if it were to even like get released in Score Match. Now let's see how I would line up. Okay, so I would line up this 5-2-3 as such, guys. So the defense would be nothing crazy in the heart of the defense. Patricio, Keane and Simon. I'd play Keane in the middle because you'd use him the least. When playing a 5-3-2, I usually notice that I'm always like, I have the opportunity to play the ball to Simon and Patricio a bit, these guys here. Then on the wing we have Zimmer, who is someone who is really good to progress things upfield. At level 11 he's also good because he has that extra speed. He gets like up to 34 speed. And on this side is where things get a bit interesting with Lee. He'd be able to push upfield and curve balls and send long balls to Aboubakar here, who is one of the fastest wingers you could ever ask for. The midfield, before I get into the strikers, is the same. I'm going to keep using mostly the same setup in midfield throughout this video because it is just a very balanced midfield, guys. We have a Hammer, great for corners, and a Major, who is okay for corners, but he's also great for stealing balls thanks to his very high response. Now, in attack, it's the same setup that I always use in a 4-3-3, or I mean, recently I haven't been playing Aboubakar that much because of his lack of response, but yeah, you could play Simon here if you try to find a replacement for him at the back. But yeah, this formation would be really great in defense, and in attack we'd have like the trio of dreams with a Prowler here, like trio of dreams at least for me, because I really love this setup, guys, in attack with a Prowler here, very low dribble rate, so he'd be able to push upfield. Aboubakar really fast and with balls from Lee. I mean, you could also make the case that you could swap these two guys, so Zimmer would be here and Lee would be here, but I mean, that could be possible as well, because if you want someone who's always sticking to position, remember, guys, that Lee is a running player, so he can run and create, you know, good attacking opportunities on the wings, or he can also, which isn't the best case scenario, push into midfield, because his running trait like means that he'll just run in any direction, not where you want him to run. So if you want to have Zimmer here, who'd always stay there and lob balls to Aboubakar, that would be a that wouldn't be something I'd hate. So yeah, this formation would be fantastic. I'd have a lot of fun with it. FTG, please consider adding this formation, guys. I mean, yeah, I think it would be a good formation, people. So another 5-man defender formation is the 5-4-1, and this is practically the same as a 5-3-2. I apologize for the kind of blurred, icons here, but yeah, this is basically like a 5-3-2, only that we have one less player in attack and one more player in the midfield. This would be at least one of the most difficult formations to break down in the entire game. Like, look guys, there is no space available behind the striker. The midfield and the defense are absolutely covered. Like, if you play responsive players around these parts, you're not gonna break this formation down, man, even with volleyball. Like, there's man, I think Haram Ball would definitely be played here, with everyone playing highly responsive one-touch players and having a fast player up top. Like, Simeone would be proud of this setup right here. But yeah, let's see how I would line up. Alright guys, so 5-4-1 here, and as I said, like, I'd keep the same defense as the previous formation we covered, the 5-2-3, so I'm gonna skip the explanation there. Then, as a 4-man midfield, we're gonna have just what I mentioned, for mostly, at least, you know, except the hammer, for like a very highly responsive midfield, so that they latch onto balls and really also keep possession really well, because all these players, including the Prowler, keep possession fairly well. We obviously have the Hammer and Wolfgang in the middle for that, you know, strong midfield. And on the wings we have running players, yes, but not really fast ones. And this is where the formation would kind of be a pain to create chances for, because you wouldn't have enough of a speed, enough like of a fast threat up top to make things happen. I did consider playing Abubakar here, or, you know, you could play Simon, who I'm sure would be fine here, but I think I would play Johnson because the midfield is quite far back. It isn't like these guys up here aren't exactly wingers, so they're not, you know, alongside Sandberg up here positioned. They're gonna be in the midfield practically. They're just gonna be as defensive as a midfield in a 5-3-2. So yeah, I'd want Johnson, who is a running player, so he would push upfield a bit despite his pretty poor speed overall, but he's also really good on the ball. And so this possession-based team would practically be keeping the ball, like, it would be all about keeping the ball and giving the ball to Sandberg whenever you get the chance. You can also place a lot of players up top here, actually. You could place the Jet, you could place Bertini, you could place, again, Abubakar, Sabri, Intruders, Hakan, if you want, for that extra speed and good ball retaining behavior. Yeah, I mean, guys, the imagination can run rampant, really, as they say. Like, if you think about all the different formations there are out there, you can have a field day, man. And this 5-4-1 is really fun to think about, because you can play it in many ways. How effective it would be, is anyone guess at this point. Now, 3-2-4-1. Now, this is an interesting one, guys. It's one of the weaker formations that I think we're gonna cover here, because it's similar to the 3-1-2-1-3 at the back. At least we have just 3 defenders and, you know, not enough players covering the midfield. We do have the 4 you know, attacking midfielders, if you will, here, who would definitely be a good option when it comes to attacking. You'd have a very good attacking force here, but the defense is just I can see a lot of problems in defense, guys, with this formation. Let's see how we'd set this one up. So guys, I think this is how I'd set things up for the 3-2-4-1 formation. Now, this is a pretty interesting one, even though I don't think I would have a really good time and a good win rate with this formation. But at the back we'd have Simon, Keane and Patricio, fast players, and on the kind of flanks we'd have players who aren't that bad on the ball. The central midfielders always the same, Hammer and Wolfgang, gonna keep things simple there. Even for corners you're gonna need that strength. Now the 4 guys in the midfield is where, you know, things get even more interesting here, because On the wings, let's start with the wings. You'd have the Prowler. I think also I use the Badir the Prowler here because my captain is a Prowler. So whatever formation I would play, I'd have to play my captain, right? So, you know, there would always be a Prowler there. Now, that depends on your captain as well. So, you know, you would be able to change things up as you'd see fit and depending on your captain. Then I place Jones here because when I thought about it, in a 4-4-2, I usually place Jones or Zivkovic here. Zivkovic would be kind of okay here, but I think Jones would be better because he progressed things a bit up the field and also lob balls to these guys. Then, as attacking midfielders, we'd have a very interesting combination of Johnson and Benitez, because Johnson is good to kind of recycle the ball and, you know, shoot towards goal when he gets the chance. Benitez, on the other hand, not on the other hand really, he's really similar in the sense that he's kind of okay on the ball and he's a real cannon where if he gets the chance, he's gonna shoot. So good response as well, bad speed, but you don't really need speed as a center attacking midfielder all that much. It does help, but it's not the end all or be all. The attacker would just be Sandberg. So yeah, I think the defense would be lacking quite a lot here. That's why I think, you know, volleyball and most other formations would have a field day here to beat this formation, but, you know, it's an interesting one. I'm realizing now that it's already quite a while into the video, and it's because I love to have a look at these formations and really test them out if they really went into the game. So let's try to get a move on here. So this is a 4-1-3-2. Now this is a very interesting one, guys. It's a mixture of a 4-2-3-1, but, you know, the midfielders and the attackers are a bit kind of shuffled around to create something really interesting here. It is like a 4-1-2-1-2 if you think about it, because you have 4 defenders, 1 central defensive midfielders, 2 midfielders on the flanks, the central attacking midfielder, which is here labeled as a central midfielder, and 2 strikers. Now, I'm gonna treat this as a separate formation to the 4-1-2-1-2 because the midfielders here on the flanks are exactly on the flanks. A 4-1-2-1-2 is a very narrow formation. It's a good formation, don't get me wrong, but the midfielders on the wings aren't really on the wings. They're more in a centralized position. So here's how I would line up. So this is how I would line things up, guys. The defense is the same. The central midfielder here would be Wolfgang. He's great there. I've used him frequently. If you want to have a really interesting time, you could play Patricio here, but I guess you wouldn't have that safe passing ability and, you know, strong character there in the midfield. Then there would be on the flanks, there would be Badir here, who would have a lot of space to run into, really nice. And Zivkovic, who would be able to send long balls to Badir, or also Bertini and Sandberg, who would be the strikers here. So pretty simple formation, nothing too crazy. I wouldn't play Benitez here because I think I'd need that hammer, that really strong guy and safe player in this formation, because this guy here is labeled as a central midfielder in this, you know, in this formation that I have found on Google, really. But yeah, I guess if the formation was a bit more attacking in this regard, if the player instead of Novak was gonna be somewhere like close to Sandberg and Bertini, I think I'd maybe place Benitez or Johnson or a Prowler, like, or an Engine. Like, the possibilities would be endless, guys. I think this formation would be good. It's, again, very similar to a 4-1-2-1-2, but yeah, really interesting one, this. Alright, guys, now this is a 4-4-1-1. So, pretty strange, right? It's basically a 4-4-2, but instead of the 2 strikers side by side, you'd have one of them, as you can see, closer to the midfield, and the other would just be as a center forward, like a striker, proper striker. Now, I mean, this formation would be good. It's also pretty similar to a 4-1-4-1 in that you have many players in the midfield and a few good players in defense. So it would be a solid one. My fear is that you have one striker, and in score match formations with one striker like the 4-2-3-1, like it's not really good. You have a pretty hard time, scoring with it, even with a 4-1-4-1. Like the possibilities of scoring are there, but it is more of a labored formation. You have to work a bit harder if you only have one striker, right? Because again, the striker in score match is the person who is closest to goal, and if there's only one player there compared to three, like a 4-3-3, you're just gonna have a harder time to score. But I mean, let's have a look at how I would line things up here. Now, as a 4-1-4-1, I think I do something like this. So the defense is the same, the central midfield is the same. I would basically play this formation like in defense and midfield, just like I would play a 4-4-2. Like the defense is the same as a 4-4, what I'd play in a 4-4-2, and also the four midfielders are the same that I use in a 4-4-2. So we have Jones, or you can play Zivkovic here as well, but given that he has a bit more space up top, I'd play Jones to progress things up the field, and the Prowler here, always good for attacking. Now, seeing as we have a central attacking midfielder really here, I would place Benitez, because in such an advanced position you don't need a very safe player. Like Benitez is still kind of okay on the ball, he does play it forward, he plays it to the wings, he plays it back very rarely, but he's also really good to shoot, just shoot on sight, and that is something who, like for someone who's gonna be in this position lurking behind the center forward who is Sandberg, you're gonna need him to have good response and a good shooting ability, and here Benitez is, good for just that. And then we have Sandberg. I mean, you can also place Bertini in his position or Sabre if you want, but there won't be a lot of space to run into, so I'm not sure if that would be a good option. Sandberg is just the perfect package of okay speed and a really clinical finisher. So yeah guys, that has been it. Tell me what formations you would like to see in this in score match, and tell me the setup that you think would be a hit if any of these formations would get introduced to the game. So I hope you like this one, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.